Hi, welcome to School of Arizona's Hard Knocks. I'm your instructor, Miss Alejandro, and I'm here to give you guys a little bit of a brief course about the instruction that we should be trying to give our ELL students and be able to support them in the classroom. So one of those things is, especially with ELL students, considering that they're coming into our classroom, learning a new language, having their own culture with that significance and everything, including that, is figuring out how much the family and the community around them influences them. So, for example, I was identified as an ELL student growing up, and while did not struggle, thankfully, with having to learn English, I just identified as being able to speak Spanish first instead of knowing English. My mom taught me both languages. So, identifying myself as an ELL student, I was able to go through the process of them evaluating me and trying to see how much English and my English proficiency, which is understanding. One thing that unfortunately I didn't feel that was taken into consideration during the experience was how much the culture that of my family like influenced what was happening in my academic achievements. My mom was very involved. She was an educator in her previous country, so she also knew strategies. She knew how to teach us at our home, but unfortunately, it was just not translated as well with the language. She was still trying to learn the language, and she taught us the best way that she could in her language. And fortunately, we were able to get both languages, but and in a great way. I obviously don't have any difficulty with the English language now, but it is something to know that I feel like it would have helped a lot with the instruction that I had and with the help that I was receiving, the assistance that I was receiving, because I'll be honest with you, I felt that the woman that was helping me, her time could have better been well spent with other students who were probably struggling a lot more than I was, because my mom she already had that educational background, so she was already trying to help me there. So in that sense, getting to know your student is such an essential part of ELL. It's so pertinent to their learning process, to how you're going to be able to help them when they're going through the school year, because they are coming from such a different place as the other students. I mean, the other students are of course coming from their own place, but they are coming from such a different place. They're having to learn the new language. They're having to do so much more, adapt to, a new culture or a new language, new friends, new everything. And so just having to get that information from them and having to get to know them is just one of the best things that an educator can do, because I cannot stress enough how that personal connection with an ELL student is going to be able to um, translate or go into other areas such as educational, academics, and everything, behavior, all of that. It will be able to go into those areas, but first off, trying to develop that connection with them is most essential to be able to get them to where they need to go for their academic success. So going along that route, making sure that you have strategies in your classroom, because obviously you want to be able to get to know them and everything. You need to be able to implement strategies in the classroom to get to that place. So being maybe learning a bit about their culture, getting to know the language a little bit, having a translator, making sure that you get in contact with the family. The family involvement is going to be such a big thing. They might not be as responsive to it as much as we'd like it to be as an educator, but at least just from that, we can glean that information. We can get that information and just see what needs are going to be necessary for the student to be able to thrive in our classroom, because we gathered the information, we saw what the home life was, and we're able to, based off that information, be able to develop the necessary instruction that they need. So once we get that information, another thing that a So for taking into consideration language acquisition, classes should be coordinated with their academic courses so that the student is engaged in knowledge building coupled with specific language instruction. So it's not just giving them, like, just trying to get them to learn English or anything like that, especially for older students, especially for middle school students. It's not just trying to get them to learn English. It's about developing that language acquisition, as well as making sure that they understand the material, because past third grade they're not learning how to read and write anymore. They're more focused on the higher level thinking, so that we, as well, just because they have that language barrier does not mean that they're not having that higher level thinking anymore. We still need to be able to give them that chance to be able to get the content of their grade and also have that language acquisition, language instruction, so that it comes together for them. And one way that we can do that with the classroom in the classroom is, just making the classrooms just very welcoming for them. Is It's their home away from home. It's their second home, essentially. They spend 8 hours with us. So making sure that the classroom is like another welcome place, another place that they feel okay to go to or be, even if they're a behavioral student or anything like that, just making sure that they're okay to be there and making sure that they're welcome, and just exemplifying how much that this environment is for them, is for their success, and for them to be able to be the best version of that they can be. They might not know what it is yet, and that's our role as an instructor, but we have that environment to be able to get them there. So what can we do to be able to make the environment a little bit more inclusive or a little bit more welcoming for them? We can take pictures of the students and hang them around the classroom. It's a simple step to make sure your classroom is culturally responsive. If they have their own, I've seen this before with classrooms, if they have their pictures on the wall, it makes the utmost difference. It's amazing how much the difference, because they take that ownership. They know, this is my classroom, this is where I go, this is my picture. And especially for the younger students, like those visuals for them are just so helpful, because the visuals kind of help them bridge that connection that, hey, this is where I go, this is my classroom, again, this is my second home away from home. So as long as I'm comfortable here, I'm going to be able to express my needs, express what I need, and hopefully be able to learn, so that, they get that academic success that we all strive, or that we all hope they get. So we're hoping, or helping them build their future. Thank you so much for coming, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.